Shalom, friends. Today we're diving into a topic I think we all need to hear, especially as we approach 2025. Digital detoxing and resetting our lives for wellness and holistic living. We'll explore 3 simple ways to unplug, reset, and prepare for the year ahead with a clear mind, a healthy body, and a renewed spirit.
It's fascinating how this need to unplug and reset is echoed throughout history. What we call digital detox today actually has roots in ancient practices.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of ancient practices are we talking about?
Well, think about the Sabbath, a day of rest observed in many traditions. It's a concept woven into the fabric of history for a reason. Stepping away from the daily grind, even before the digital age, has always been crucial for well-being.
Yeah, that makes sense. Taking a break, recharging is like hitting the reset button. But in today's always-on world, a full day offline, that just feels impossible.
It's definitely a challenge, but the benefits are worth considering. A study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology found a direct correlation between reduced social media use and lower levels of anxiety and depression. Imagine a day where you intentionally disconnect to recharge. Research suggests this can actually lower stress hormones like cortisol and improve sleep quality. It's like hitting the reset button for your whole system.
So the first step in our digital detox journey is dedicating 1 day a week to being completely screen-free, like a modern-day Sabbath. But what about the other 6 days of the week?
Right, that's where setting boundaries with technology comes in, our second step in this digital detox journey.
Let's face it, we're constantly bombarded with notifications. It's hard not to check our phones every few minutes. It's like we're all hooked on something.
It's not just like being hooked. The truth is, social media apps are designed to be addictive. They use something called dopamine hits, similar to addictive substances, to keep us constantly engaged.
Dopamine hits. Tell me more about that.
Well, a 2018 study in neuroregulation explored this, showing how excessive social media use triggers the reward system in our brains. It's the same system that gets activated by things like gambling and, yes, addictive substances. This makes it incredibly difficult to disengage even when we want to.
Wow, that's pretty eye-opening. So how do we break free from these digital chains?
Well, the good news is that we have more control than we realize. Start by leveraging the screen time trackers built into our phones. Setting daily limits for specific apps can make a huge difference. Another strategy is designating phone-free zones in your home. Spaces where devices are off limits, like the dinner table or bedroom.
Creating those digital boundaries sounds like a great starting point, especially at the dinner table. It's a chance to actually connect with the people you're with rather than your phone.
Exactly. It's about choosing to prioritize those real-life connections over the constant stream of digital noise.
So we've got our weekly digital Sabbath and setting boundaries. What's the final piece of this digital detox puzzle?
The third and final step is all about finding peace and stillness. By replacing that digital noise with something more meaningful. Think about it. How often do you experience true quiet in your day?
Honestly, not very often. It seems like my mind is always buzzing, even when I'm not actively using my phone.
That constant stimulation makes it difficult to connect with ourselves and tap into that inner peace. But here's the thing. Practices like mindfulness and simply being present in silence aren't just trendy buzzwords. They're backed by science. Research in psychological science showed that even brief periods of silence can dramatically improve attention span and reduce stress.
That's interesting. So instead of automatically reaching for our phones in those quiet moments, we should just embrace the stillness.
Exactly. It's a conscious shift from constant stimulation to intentional stillness.
I love the idea, but practically speaking, how can our listeners actually incorporate this into their daily lives? It's not like most people can just sit in silence all day.
It doesn't have to be all day. Even small steps can make a big difference. You could begin your day with a tech-free morning routine, meditation, journaling, prayer, or simply focusing on your breath.
A tech-free morning routine. That sounds like a great way to start the day with intention instead of immediately getting sucked into the digital vortex.
It's about setting the tone for your day. Instead of letting your inbox dictate your mood, you're choosing to start with something calming and centering. And it doesn't have to stop there. Think about replacing some of that mindless scrolling time with activities that connect you to your physical body and the world around you. Things like gardening, walking, or just stepping outside to breathe fresh air.
It's like creating in your social media feed for a walk in the park, refreshing your spirit instead of refreshing your screen.
Precisely. It's a conscious choice to nourish your mind and soul instead of getting caught in the digital whirlwind.
This has been incredibly insightful. So to recap, we've got our weekly digital Sabbath, setting boundaries with technology, and replacing digital noise with practices that cultivate peace and mindfulness. 3 simple yet powerful steps. But what if someone is thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but I'm not sure where to begin?
That's a great question. And it leads us to one final and maybe the most important point of all. It's not about feeling overwhelmed by trying to do everything at once. The real power lies in taking that first step.
So baby steps. What kind of first step are we talking about here?
It could be as simple as choosing one app to significantly limit for the next 30 days. See what happens. Do you sleep better? Are you less anxious? Do you find yourself with more free time? It's about becoming aware of your digital habits and how they're affecting you.
Yeah, tracking how those changes impact your daily life. I like it. It's like a little experiment. But what if someone really struggles to stick with it? Any tips for overcoming those moments of weakness?
One thing that stood out in the research was the idea of a tech-free morning ritual. Think about it. You're intentionally choosing how to start your day rather than letting your inbox dictate your mood.
It's about reclaiming control and starting the day on your own terms. That makes a lot of sense. It sets the tone for the entire day.
Exactly. And if you find yourself reaching for your phone out of habit, try replacing that action with something else. Something that nourishes your mind or body. Maybe a few minutes of meditation, reading a book, or stretching.
Swapping a digital habit for a healthy one. I can see how that could be really powerful over time.
It's about rewiring those neural pathways and creating healthier patterns.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that digital detoxing isn't about becoming some kind of tech-hating hermit. It's about being intentional with our technology use and making sure it serves us, not the other way around.
You've got it. It's about finding a balance that allows technology to enhance our lives without taking over. It's about reclaiming our time, our attention, and our well-being.
Well said. And remember, listeners, you don't have to do this alone. Share your experiences, support each other, and celebrate those victories along the way. We're all in this together.
Absolutely. This is a journey we're all on. And remember, the most important step is the one you take today.
Wow. It's amazing how much we've unpacked in this deep dive. Taking the digital Sabbath, setting boundaries, replacing digital noise with mindful practices.
Yeah.
It's all about taking control of our tech instead of letting it control us. But it's not always easy, is it?
You're absolutely right. And that's why it's important to remember that this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one person may not work for another. The key is to find what works best for you and your lifestyle.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot where technology enhances your life without overwhelming it. So for our listeners who are ready to embark on their own digital detox journey, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
Be patient with yourself. Changing habits takes time and effort. It's a journey, not a race. Don't get discouraged if you slip up or find it challenging at times. Just keep coming back to your intention, to your why. Why is this important to you? What are you hoping to gain by creating a healthier relationship with technology?
It's about the bigger picture and remembering that small changes can have a big impact over time. So no need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Just pick one thing, one small step you can take today to move in the right direction.
Exactly. And celebrate those small victories along the way. Acknowledge your progress and keep moving forward.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. It's clear that digital detoxing isn't about demonizing technology. It's about finding a healthier balance and using it in a way that supports our overall well-being.
Well said. It's about being mindful, intentional, and taking back control of our time, our attention, and our lives.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this episode has inspired you to take a fresh look at your digital habits and explore ways to create a more balanced and fulfilling life. Shalom, friends.